right, so this is the donor vehicle that we'll be using. Luckily, we found a 4Runner 94 that already had the 3.4 conversion. And we're going to use what's left of this one, anything else that we have, to get this job done. So we're going to start dismantling this front end now. See if we can get this radiator out. Gentleman said it does run, so we're going to find out if it does. Okay, we got this core support, radiator support pulled out. Got the fan out of the radiator. Fan was warped or bent real bad. This is good, so none of that should be messed up. And then we got jumper cables on it, got a battery in, and we're gonna see if it'll crank. So anybody that's ever had a Toyota with the 3.0 engine in it knows that this engine is terribly underpowered. Under the hood, they're clustered. Everything is so cram-packed in there. They're hard to work on. A pain in the butt to work on. Nobody that I know likes working on these things. And we've had this thing for years, and the motor has been a good engine for us until, you know, we had the issue with running it with no oil. And I've always wanted to do a swap in it. I did have a Lexus 4.0 that I was wanting to swap in it, but until I decided to give the truck to my son, the Lexus I think would have been too much for him. And then we got lucky with the purchase of the 94, which already had a 3.4 swap done on it. I'm by no means a mechanic, but with the help of some friends who guided me through some of the things that I was wanting to get done here, and the engine was out, it made everything a lot easier. I did replace the timing belt, cam seals, crank seals, rear main seal, new water pump, and maybe something else I'm forgetting. But we did all that in the front end. Like I said, it was fairly simple considering everything was already out of the engine. Also, while I had the engine out of the truck, I wanted this thing to go back in looking, you know, as close to a factory install as I could. So what I done while I had everything out, went ahead and took some of the covers off, the front cover, valve covers, cleaned all that, painted that. The intake, separated the intake, cleaned it, new seals with it, put all that stuff back together. And when the engine was done and ready to go back into the engine, the truck, I'm sorry, it did look really good. And you'll see as we get to the end of the video what the pictures look like with some of the stuff that we done. As you can see, all these parts are really nasty, greased up. When the gentleman that we got the truck from got the engine in, all they done was put it over in the truck. So after a lot of degreaser, wire brush, rinsing off and repeating, I got everything good and cleaned. And then, like I said, with the intake, primed it with a high heat paint, then went back and painted it, as well as I did all the other stuff. Everything I used a primer and a high heat paint. And everything looks really good as we got it back together. So getting the engine over into the truck wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. We had watched a few videos where guys were struggling, you know, trying to get everything to line up. Ours went fairly smooth. Didn't take us long at all to get it in there and bolted up. The only issue we ran into was the fact that the guy that bought the engine first, it was a JDM engine, and they didn't replace any of the pulleys with American pulleys. So I did have some issues with parts wanting to rub each other in the front, belts not lining up. And I had a struggle finding the right belts to make this thing work. And as you can see, it fired up on the first try as soon as we got all the wiring hooked up. I probably went through about 50 different belts till I found the right ones to fit this thing. And they all went to a different vehicle. They were just the right length that we were able to adjust and make them work. And here it is on the first time that we took it out down the road and back for a little test spin, and everything worked out great. So for exhaust, we've done a MagnaFlow 2-in-1 with 2 1/4 inch stainless pipe. It has a good mellow sound, not loud or obnoxious or anything like that. And we've put about 5,000 miles on this thing since we've done the engine swap. I'm gonna tell you, we could not be happier with the power and performance of the 3.4. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you have any questions on the swap that we might could help you out with, let us know.